Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Anambra. And this is Good Morning Anambra show with my colleague here.
Yes, it's been a wonderful time. And before I forget to congratulate you back, it's been a while. I've not seen you. You know, I saw you this morning. I was like, okay, fine. Let's be done with what we'll do. Then I get to how was your trip and relaxation? Hope it was good.
Wonderful.
And I missed you. I just wanted to tell you that.
It's all right. Thank you very much. All right. This is welcoming you to this show now. That we have, what we have now is Nigeria at 58. And when you talk about somebody that has attained the age of 58, is no mean feat.
No, it's not. You can say that again. They always used to use that word when you get to 40 at a very large extent. You should have known what where you're heading to in life, and of course what you've achieved so far. So 58 is much more a longer time. So at 58, well, I feel Nigeria should have been or is a grandfather.
He's a grandfather indeed.
Grandmother. Anyway.
All right, Nigeria is still a great nation, still standing strong, irrespective of our challenges, of our checkered history of coups and counter coups. But we are still here. We are still grateful to God to be here this morning. We have a guest in the studio who is going to help us look at this wonderful topic, Nigeria at 58. We are all smiles this morning. Why? If not for anything, we've got to celebrate life. All right. I would like to welcome you to the studio, Professor Ezako, to look at this. Ifeanyi Ezako, we're glad to have you in the studio. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, big lady.
How was cold this morning?
That's why I'm putting on this.
And okay, we just want to say happy independence.
Okay, happy 58 years.
Happy 58 years. You're not really smiling this morning.
No, if you say independence, we may not be independent.
Okay, all right, 58 years.
Yes. All right, we'll still get back to that. All right, we are going to take you over to our studios, to let you know how it all began yesterday as the governor of the state and all that matters in the state attended a service to commemorate this 58th independence anniversary. We'll be back.
Governor Obiano, while felicitating with Nigerians on the nation's 58th independence anniversary celebration, called on the citizens to pray for God's intervention in the 2019 general elections, which he said is a watershed that will determine the fate of the country. The governor expressed happiness that in the last 1 month, his administration launched the Anambra State Health Insurance Scheme aimed at giving the people an affordable and quality health care, as health is one of the key enablers of his administration. The governor announced that his administration, in conjunction with the federal government, have offered a lot of financial and material assistance to over 50,000 flood victims in holding centers in the state. He urged good-spirited individuals to complement state government efforts in this regard by giving their own to help the flood victims.
If you belong to the Anambra society, you will see that they plan their health care system properly. And that is what we have brought to Anambra State now. With 1,000 naira, if you are a civil servant, every month you pay 1,000 naira, every month 1,000 naira. This insurance scheme will cover you and 4 of your siblings. Cover you and 4 of your siblings, no matter if I warn. We must pray for unity. I Anambra and Chabofu. I am walking. Put the white people under God. This is not the period to divide. This is the period to do what? To divide and fight our common enemy. Whenever you wake up, let's say, God bless Anambra State first, then God bless Nigeria.
In a sermon, the Bishop of Oka Diocese, Anglican Communion, Right Reverend Alexander Ibezim, regretted that at 58, Nigerians are still living in sorrow occasioned by bad leadership in a land blessed with mineral resources. He, however, commended the present administration under the leadership of Governor Obiano for spreading dividends of democracy to all parts of the state.
That in a time like this, we must know that as a man of thanksgiving to God, there is need to seriously uphold our country before the Almighty God. Very serious prayer, not a political prayer, because there are prayers that are political. People that pray political prayers, it doesn't get results. When they want to pray, they want to make recognition, to budget big amount of money. The prophets that pray for the liberation of their countries, they do it silently. Even by the time they come out to talk, they know that it is a prophetic voice. But today, prophetic voice is lacking in our country.
The service also featured prayers for Anambra State.
Alright, the picture you've just watched, or the video you've just watched, is the governor of Anambra State and all that matters in Anambra State that attended a service yesterday in commemoration of Nigeria's 58th independence anniversary. And we told you that we have a guest already in the studio, Professor Ifeanyi Ezeaku, to help us look at what is happening at in Nigeria at 58. And now, Professor Ezeaku, let's begin by asking you what's your assessment, of this great nation, Nigeria, having attained the age of 58.
Yeah, thank you. To attain age of 58 is not an easy thing. One who reaches 58 years has come halfway the age for a reasonable person. In the scriptures, he said 100 years. Though some people make mistakes and say this 70 years, it is not biblical. 100 is biblical, 120 is biblical. The first was 120 by God, the second one that. But Nigeria has reached 58. I would say a tough journey, a tough age movement or processing, a tough and easy life within the 58 years. I remember 1960, October 1, during the celebration of independence. I was a scout boy that time, and usually scout boys must go to the field with their whips or lanyard. We were beating smaller people. We were showing power over them. I enjoyed it. At Oka, very close to Governor's Lodge. That place we used to celebrate Empire Day. That's before independence, Empire Day. So I witnessed the beginning, and I'm witnessing Nigeria today. And I have passed through many activities, both bitter and sweet, both civilian and military, both single united nation and complex diversified nation. All these are the trends in Nigeria's growth to 58 years. We shall discuss more there and see whether we enjoyed it or we hated it or we are seeing progress or regress.
All right, now moving on, there's this, while we're actually going through the newspapers daily this morning, there was this big question on one of the newspapers this morning. At 58, what is Nigeria celebrating?
I believe what Nigeria is celebrating at 58 is that we are still existing as a nation, as a country. I think we are not yet a nation, because a nation must have one interest, all true, one value, all true, or what we may call the common good. We have diversified interests, diversified values, diversified common good, blending, tilting to ethnic, religious, constitution, even though our constitution has completely been bastardized. But ethnic group, religion, even European, the colonial masters' power, they are all eating deep into and leading Nigerians into this process. But Nigeria is still a country.
All right, we'll still get back to you. The program is Good Morning Anambra, and we are looking at Nigeria at 58. We take a very short break here. The program returns after now. Please don't go anywhere.
This is Anambra.
The government of Anambra State invites you to the unveiling of Anambra Compendium on Monday, the 1st of October 2018 at Oma Event Center, opposite Alex Ekweme Square, Awka, Anambra State, by 12 noon. Chief host, His Excellency Chief Willie Obiano, Governor, Anambra State. Chairman, His Royal Majesty, Igwe Alfred Nnaemeka Achebe Agbogidi, Obio Fonicha. Chief Unveiler, Mr. Nnamdi Okonkwo, Managing Director of Fidelity Bank PLC. Come, let's celebrate our heritage.
It's still Good Morning Anambra show, and we are talking Nigeria at 58. Right now, we are joined by Professor Ngozi Ude, Dean, Faculty of Arts, Chukwuemeka Odumegu Ojukwu University, Igbariam. Prof, we're glad to have you in the studio.
Hi, viewer. Glad to have you too.
Happy Independence Anniversary.
Happy Independence Anniversary. We can as well say that. We still have mouth to talk.
All right. Before we went for break, Prof, we were actually trying to say what Nigeria is actually celebrating at 58. Prof, let's begin from Anambra State. What can you say, Anambra State, or how far have we come as a state in 58 years? Prof, let me begin with you. Let me come to you.
That's a tall question. Anambra State is the light of the nation. And before this administration, it was called a home for all. Anambra State is the greatest commercial center in Africa. Anambra State is always in the forefront. Anambra State can boast of the highest number of intellectuals in Africa. Anambra State can boast of the number of inventors in Africa and in the world all over. You see, Anambra State is the core of Igbo land. And Anambra State is a blessed state.
And we can go on and on.
Honestly.
We can go on and now, Prof, you were here when we showed the video of the church service yesterday to herald the 58th independence anniversary of Nigeria. What do you think is the essence of that service?
Well, the essence is to tell our minds, whether the minds are happy or not, that there is what we call Nigeria still. Because if you don't have it, people will now see a lot of catastrophes here and there. But with the sermons, with songs and prayers, people's minds have come closer to God. If not, everybody will be thinking that Nigeria has completely collapsed. So the essence is to bring us back to God, because we are drifting. We are drifting away from God, who made this country, Nigeria, one of the greatest countries of the world. I don't think there is any country better than Nigeria, with all gifts of God. None. But we are too arrogant to looking at what we can harness of what God has given us. So that service is to bring, in fact, if you look at the picture of people who were there, the armed forces, the civilians, the clergy, people of various Christian sects.
Looking at the pictures
yes.
here.
And even our amiable governor there, bow himself to God Almighty, his wife, and his cabinet. It is coming back to unity of forces of mind to one God. That is the essence of that service.
All right, thank you.
I think you have something to add, concerning the service yesterday.
Not really.
All right, let's roll.
All right, thank you. But we're talking about Nigeria at 58, and it looks as if that since Nigeria actually got their independence from Britain, it seems as if we haven't gotten it right. And when you look at some of the factors militating against the economic development of Nigeria, it is sad to know that at 58, Nigeria is still in the woods. Now, my question is, do you think this nation, Nigeria, is heading in the right direction?
Not yet, Uhuru.
What do we have to show for at 58?
Not yet, Uhuru. Not yet, freedom. We are still under the control of the colonial masters, their ideologies. Why do we go over there? Every time we want to make a very serious venture, we go to Britain for advice. When we have superior brains in this country, Nigeria. Very superior.
So was it that it was wrong for them to have left us the time they left us? Or? No. Because if you say we're still under them, we're not even acting like them. When we go over there, we know how they do things. You can see the development, you can see life generally. Is that the same case here in Nigeria?
The problem with Nigeria is not with the colonial masters leaving us too early. It is our problem not emulating, not learning, not copying the minds of our founding fathers. They were united. They were pushful. They know their rights. But today, everybody is going on his own. So we have not learned anything from. There's a place, we had some conference. I said, why is it that we have not been able to copy the ideas of Nnamdi Azikiwe, Awolowo, Sardauna Sokoto Inewe, Emeagwali Okpara, Akanibiam? All these people, why haven't we copied the ideas? These people didn't have anything of theirs.
All right, and you're talking about our founding fathers. They had great dreams for this great nation, Nigeria. And from what you're saying, seems those dreams are not being realized. Where do you think we have missed the way, Prof?
You see, I'll look at it from the literary point of view. We have what we call colonialism, and then we have what we call neocolonialism. So, colonialism is the mother country inflicted upon us, but the neocolonialism is the one our own kids and kin, our own brothers, are inflicting on us. The problem of Africa generally is the problem of leadership. Right from inception, it is the problem of leadership, and it's pitiable. It has come down history lane to the present day. And if I can put it in the words of Karl Marx, the superstructure is insensitive to the plight of the base, to the plight of the masses. There is disenchantment, mass disenchantment occasioned by poverty, absolute paucity. The money in the economy is in the pocket of a few. The poor gets poorer every day, and the rich gets richer. Nigeria is divided into two, the haves and the have-nots. It is a pitiable situation. At 58, Nigeria is a home to the greater majority of blacks on earth.
Prof, you're emotional, I can feel, and does it mean there is nothing we can beat our chest to say we've achieved these 58 years? Professor Zako, please.
Well, that is of recent. When the economy is dying, people started thinking of agriculture. It's an achievement. You go everywhere, you see farm, crops, and so on. It's an achievement. We shall be proud of that we now want to go back to the soil, not only to depend on mineral, that is the oil. So it's an achievement, and I believe that people who have embraced this agriculture will continue with it. Like in Anambra State. In fact, if I had the opportunity with money, I would go into farming, especially snail. I love snail. And then catfish, so that people will eat and look robust. There's no question of having the jets and so on. Something that will refresh the body. I think that is very great.
Okay, we're still talking about Nigeria at 58, and there was something Prophet talked about, that one of the major problems is leadership. Now, we know over time, over the years, that we've been battling with selfish leaders who fight, and cling onto power and refuses to let this, maybe the younger one or some other people take part in it. Now, my question is, when you look at what's really happening in Nigeria, when we talk about even importing, we import almost everything, even to toothpick. Yes, she said that. Now, the question is, how can we develop? Because we've even, you said recently we started delving into agriculture. We abandoned agriculture and some other sectors like the mining sectors. How can we develop? What do Nigeria need to start? Where did we even get it wrong? And what do we have to start doing to get it right at 58?
All right.
I think there's.
Okay, go on.
I think there's something there. When these founding fathers left, the army took over. And military love of power obeyed the last order. And a lot of things started tilting to money making, sharing the oil wells and so on. No more interest in agriculture. Look at their palm fruit, palm products, all gone. Cassava, all gone. Until recently we are trying to retrieve them to our economy. But if the military, I'm still saying, I was a soldier, and I know how we command, obey the last order. If we had allowed the civilians to metamorphose into greater civilian regime, in fact, we would have been leading the whole country. The world.
Let's see who is here.
Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. All right, just to let you know that you can actually join in discussion this morning. Nigeria at 58. Today is the Independence Day of Nigeria, where we're celebrating our 58 years. You can call us and tell us what you feel about Nigeria so far. The numbers are on your screen. Professor, you were saying something before the call.
Yeah, I was talking about if the military had not intervened in the affairs, the governance of this country, we shall not be talking about not yet uhuru, not yet freedom. Because the military muzzle you are taught, muzzle everything about, just as we are having now. The leadership in the country has been, in fact, painted with love of power.
Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Good morning. I'm calling from Chika. I'm calling from
Chika, you're welcome. Go ahead.
I have something to contribute to your discussion. It's a difficult discussion.
Thank you.
The problem with people is that they don't want to go through stress. In 1947, Abubakar Tafawa in the book, a letter to that 24 times, said to a British High Commissioner that whenever you people have left this land, we, the Northerners, will continue the interrupted Islamization of the East. And we don't want any southern elements to develop enough for us. Secondly, we are not to say that the southern part of Nigeria is a conquered territory, and that they will not allow us to control our future. And hence, if we cannot control our future, then it means that they will continue to place neo-colonialism on us. And Abu Salami Abubakar single-handedly wanted Nigeria's constitution in 1999 and brought massive Islamization ideology into the constitution. Now, can't you see that if people continue to touch the position of ideology, problem will continue? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chika, for that
Thank you
wonderful
very much,
contribution.
Chika.
Let's run. For the program is still Good Morning Anambra. At this point, we'd like to take you over to the studios. Now, let's feel the pulse of the people on Nigeria at 58. We'll be right back. Please don't go anywhere.
It's our 58th independence celebration, where we remember when we were last under bondage. But for the love of God, by now we should have disintegrated. The fact that we are still one nation today, no matter what the hardships are, we should be celebrating.
Well, to me, I must be honest, we don't have any reason to celebrate this independence. Nigeria should be mourning because the situation is very pathetic. Nigerian youth has not had it well. The last International Youth Day was tagged Safe Spaces for Youth. And I want to tell you that safe space has not been created for us here in Nigeria.
We thank the Lord for uniting us together thus far. And we are praying to God to continue to unite this country as one and to help us to salvage our economy so that things will be better for the citizens of Nigeria.
It's Nigeria at 58. Professor, you've seen the reactions of people. Could you please quickly react to, they're saying we have no reason to celebrate, and of course, all that we've had here.
Well, the problem of Nigeria is in our mindset. All of us are contributory factors to Nigeria's problem. You and I out there, until we learn that Nigeria is not to be shared, until we remove the sense of sharing the national cake, until we remove the sense of what can the nation do for us, to replace it with what can we do for the nation. Let us remove the sense of how would I get from the nation, and instill in all of us the sense of how do I contribute to make the nation grow.
All right, and I think that forms a part of what we are going to look at. You experienced Nigeria while it's still growing, while it's still good, Yes. And you can say that our founding fathers had love for the nation. And when you watch some of other countries of the world, the way they carry their symbols, their flags, whatever, it shows how patriotic they are. Now, coming back to Nigeria, can we actually say that we have love for this nation as a people? Professor?
We have love for parts of Nigeria. Ethnic groups, love for. Political group, haphazard love.
You can actually relate it with that time you talked about earlier.
Yes. That time, everybody was happy. You hear about independence anniversary. People will rush happily. But today, I was passing through the road. I didn't see people rejoicing. Because things, just as we saw there. Comments.
Sorry. Hello? Hello, anybody there?
Go ahead.
Comments people were making. What are we celebrating? There's no food. There's no money. The civil servants don't have anything at all. They can't train their children. They can't feed them. They can't take their children to hospital. So people are dying. My fellow scholar said state of mind, mindset. Yes. It's only the mindset that is keeping us alive today that we must survive. But if not, if you look around the environment, there is no way one can think of surviving.
All right, let's see who is here.
Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello?
Good morning.
Good morning. Please move away from your TV set.
Good morning. I'm calling from Moka.
Your name?
Good morning.
What's your name?
All right, please, when you do call us, try as much as possible to move away from your TV set, or better still, tone down the volume of your TV set. Well, my question goes to Professor. Although 58 years of Nigeria existence has been a mixed bag, you can say Nigeria has actually tried in some aspect and not tried in some other aspect. Now, at 58, it's also said that that the nation itself has squandered a better part of when you look at how the country itself has evolved and taken care of our kids, the children, to become better. You would agree that the nation has squandered the better part of that, side. But my question is, how do we reprioritize and reorganize ourselves in ways that we can stop this deliberate mortgage of our children's future?
All right, before we go, we take that. Let's see who is here. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. What's your name?
My name is Alexi.
Alechi, where are you calling us from?
I like independence.
Thank you very much. God bless
I'm
you.
independent.
All
So,
right.
Professor.
Yes.
So how do we reprioritize and reorganize ourselves in ways that we can stop the deliberate mortgage of our children's future? Because when you look at what's happening at 58, we cannot comfortably or confidently say that we are heading to the right direction as regards to bringing up the next future leaders.
Festus Seyi wrote a book he called Violence. And he said when a child growing up cannot have the basic amenities of life, it is violence. When a child does not have right to empowerment, right to education, right to life, it is violence. So I believe it is restructuring. Restructuring of our minds, of our mindset, restructuring of every factor that influences our economic, political, social outlook. It's not just about restructuring in terms of no. It's the restructuring should start from our innermost being. Let us come out of this quagmire of corruption.
All right, let's see.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
You are speaking with one I am calling you from
Wanayo.
one I am.
All right, from Opuno, go ahead.
Nigeria, I have to make a humble.
We need you to speak up. One eye, because
Speak up, please.
58 years after our independence, Nigerian colonially enforced union cannot be said to be a resounding success. The country has divided and the ethnic and regional sentiments are more the common place to struggling to emerge and come up. So the situation was political system not can began to be
one eye, we really cannot even hear.
For Nigerians to become a nation. You see, despite all the juicy transformations and promises of restructuring has been observed as nothing ever, and it's of no good to a common Nigerian. Okay. I urge our political leaders to go for a common thing that will benefit the Nigerian citizens. See, they are all selfish their position. So I think Nigerians, we have to change our mindset so that we can put the Nigeria for a brighter future and a brighter for our children.
All right, thank you very much. Let me come to what actually the Bishop of Awka Diocese said, that religious intolerance has been the bane of Nigeria development. And again, Kumuyi also said we need to harness our potentials, to bring about development in this great nation. Now, in what ways, do you think we can actually harness these great potentials? Because when you began, what you talked about Anambra State. Anambra State is part of Nigeria. I was really moved that we have all this in place, and we are still faced with some of these challenges that we're faced today. Prof. Ezako, in what ways can we harness these great potentials for the development of this great nation?
Yeah, I think Anambra State is leading in everything. And when I say in everything, even in the bad things, in the way of, not now, but in the past, when you have a lot of kidnappers, armed robbery and so, but you don't have them again.
All right,
that's now.
Pause here. Let's see who is here. Let's take this call. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Go ahead.
So what I feel, this devolution of power will help us much. If we have that devolution of power, as Anambra State is now, other states will start to copy Anambra State. And Nigeria will become a great nation. I remember Professor Akunyo, he said, good people, great nation. Good people, great nation. Which means Anambra State is moving with good people. And Anambra State is growing into a great state. If we have this devolution of power in Nigeria, let the center be minor and states major or superior. Then it is not getting money from the Abuja. They'll be distributed. But let states give them by tax. Then people will not start running to Abuja.
All right, let's resume.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, ma.
Good morning. Your name and location?
My name is Chemaka from Awka.
Chemaka from Awka. All right, go ahead with your contributions.
I'm happy to be a Nigerian citizen.
Thank you,
Good to hear
Chemaka.
that.
All right, thank you, Chemaka. Now, Prof, what's your take concerning the best way to harness our great potentials for the development of our nation?
Because we are, I am Prof, I think we have already developed our potentials. We are talking about the upcoming ones. So I think we should give them hope.
The youths?
Yes. Give them hope. Hope in this country, hope to live, that there is something to live for, there is something to work for, there is something to struggle for. Let us give them hope by removing religious acrimonies, ethnic bigotries. Look, there is a glaring one that keeps me bothered. The common entrance cutoff mark for Nigeria is different for all states. But the most annoying is that in Katsina, it is 12%, while in Anambra State, it is 66%. How do you account for that? 12% against 66. So somebody who scored 65 will not get into the secondary school, but in another state of the country, somebody who scored 12% will get in. At the long run, who becomes the leader? That is what we are asking. So there is no hope.
All right. There's this quote I have here, and I'm going to read it out. It says a lot of people have been clamoring about restructuring. She said something about restructuring, and well, a political analyst says, and I quote, he says, the problem with Nigeria at 58, that it is not yet a nation. It is merely a geographical expression because Nigeria have yet to agree on terms of cooperation. Now, before you talk about restructuring, you have to talk about structuring. It is not a political concept. It is a sociological concept on how people can agree on socio-political structures that would regulate stability and social justice, or social justice will continue to elude Nigeria. It also says that Nigeria doesn't have an economic problem. That the problem Nigeria has is a moral problem because people behave wrongly in public affairs because of their sense of justice. They don't believe in the country. Our people think first as Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, Fulani, before they think as Nigerians. And that's the foundation of our problem. That unless this is solved, then we cannot make headways as a country, Nigeria.
As a way of summary, because of time.
Yes, what I feel is we haven't got a constitution made by Nigeria. Nigeria has not got any constitution. We have just continued to metamorphose from the colonial masters built constitution and then the amendment by various groups. The 1999 amendment of the constitution is not purely of the people of this country, but of copied from military intelligence.
All right, Prof, your last word before we go.
There is still hope. There is hope. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Let's keep struggling. A luta continua.
All right, and that's how it's been on today's episode of Good Morning Anambra, talking about Nigeria at 58. In all things, we've got to be hopeful. Let's keeping faith. One day, things will be better. And I must say very big thanks to our profs in the house. Professor Ngozi Ude of Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University. Thank you so much for coming, Ma.
Thank you.
All right, Professor Ifani Ezako. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, the lady of the year.
We appreciate you, sir. And my colleague.
Well, it's always good to have you around. And like I would always say, I'll tell every Nigerian out there, I think it's high time we start thinking as like a Nigerian we are, and not individually.